Brothers and sisters, there are stories with the power to change our lives, touch our hearts, and show us that the divine manifests in the most astonishing ways. The story of Akiane Kramarik is one of them. Without any artistic training, this young girl created paintings of supernatural beauty. But there's more. Akiane painted the face of a man she had never seen before, yet she knew him deep in her heart. Jesus Christ. This face, so perfect, so alive, so powerful, left millions of people speechless. Who was Akiane? Why would a child raised in an atheist family have visions of God? And how could another child, Colton Burpo, who had a near-death experience, recognize that very painting as the true face of Jesus? Stay with us until the end of this video to discover the extraordinary story of Akiane Kramarik, a journey between heaven and earth that will leave you breathless. Akiane was born in 1994 into a family that never spoke of God. Her mother, an immigrant from Lithuania, and her American father, both declared atheists, had decided to homeschool their children with no religious influence. No sacred books, no images of Christ. Yet, at just 3.5 years old, Akiane began telling her parents about heavenly visions. "I love God," she would say repeatedly. "He is all I have." Her parents were astonished. How could such a young child speak about God with such certainty and deep love? And how could she describe in detail experiences that no one had ever taught her? Akiane recounted being taken across the universe by Jesus himself. She described seeing heaven, a place impossible to capture with earthly colors. According to her, even the flowers in heaven contain tiny galaxies at their centers. These visions translated into an extraordinary creative talent. At 6 years old, without any artistic training, she began painting on large canvases with a realism that she claimed to have learned directly from God. But how could such a young child develop such an extraordinary artistic talent? The answer lies in faith and divine grace. Akiane did not simply learn to paint. Her works are the fruit of divine inspiration, a direct connection with the Creator. Every brushstroke, every color, every detail reflects the celestial beauty she had the privilege to witness. At the age of 8, Akiane prayed intensely for a model to appear in her life to represent the figure of Jesus. The very next day, a man over 7 feet tall appeared at their home, which was isolated in the forests of Idaho. He was a carpenter, and he agreed to pose for Akiane. This led to the creation of The Prince of Peace, a painting that depicted Jesus with eyes full of love and power, a face that seemed to speak directly to the heart of anyone who gazed upon it. This was not her only inspired painting. Akiane also created Father, Forgive Them, along with numerous portraits of children, animals, elements of creation, heavenly landscapes, and even representations inspired by quantum physics and biology. Her style was unique, and her works radiated an unmistakable spiritual force. At just 9 years old, she sold her first painting for $10,000. Since then, her artworks have reached extraordinary values, attracting collectors and art enthusiasts from around the world. But what makes Akiane's paintings so special? It's not just the impeccable technique or the beauty of the images. It's the tangible presence of something divine, an inspiration beyond the human realm. Every piece by Akiane is an invitation to reflect on the greatness of God, His presence in our lives, and how beauty and truth can be found in the most unexpected places, through the most unlikely instruments. Akiane has never stopped painting or sharing her testimony of God. She says that she often spends hours in prayer, receiving inspirations that she then transforms into art. Her parents, once atheists, converted. They could not deny what they saw with their own eyes. The hand of God was working through their daughter. Yet, despite her growing fame, Akiane has faced obstacles. Many have tried to discredit her, reducing her talent to mere coincidence. But she has always responded with faith and determination. Her art continues to speak for her, offering a window into the divine for anyone willing to stop and look. Akiane is not just an artist, she is a messenger. Through her works, she invites us to look beyond the visible, to seek the divine in the small details of everyday life. She reminds us that God is always present, always at work, even when we cannot see Him. And she calls us to respond to His call with faith and courage, just as she did. As if this story weren't already incredible enough, another confirmation arrived. Years later, a boy named Colton Burpo, who had a near-death experience at the age of 4, claimed to have seen Jesus in heaven. When his parents showed him various depictions of Christ, he rejected them all. But when he saw Akiane's painting, he exclaimed, "That's him. That's Jesus." This was a groundbreaking moment for the Christian world. Two children, with no connection to each other, testified to the same vision of Christ's face. It was no longer possible to dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was proof, a sign that the Lord reveals Himself through His chosen instruments, even in the most unexpected ways. Colton Burpo's story adds yet another layer of mystery and wonder to Akiane's journey. Both children, through their extraordinary experiences, remind us that God is alive and active in the world. They remind us that faith is not just a matter of beliefs, but of lived experiences, of encounters with the divine that can change our lives forever. Now, friends, what does all of this mean for us? Why is this story so powerful? Because it reminds us that God is alive. It reminds us that the Lord manifests Himself in the most unexpected ways, even through a child. It reminds us that each of us has a special calling, a gift, a mission. How many of you feel that God is knocking at the door of your heart? How many of you have seen signs, felt His presence, but are afraid to respond? Brothers and sisters, let us not ignore the voice of God. He is speaking to us, He is calling us, and if He used Akiane to reveal His face to the world, what is He trying to tell us today? Perhaps He is telling us that it's time to wake up, to answer His call with courage and faith. Perhaps He is telling us that each of us has a role to play in His great plan, a gift to share with the world. And perhaps He is telling us that, despite the difficulties and challenges, He is always with us, always ready to guide us and strengthen us. If this story has touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, comment below, and let us know your thoughts. Have you ever seen Akiane's painting? Did it move you? And most importantly, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because in a world so full of confusion, we need more stories of hope, more testimonies of God's presence. Jesus is calling, and this is just one of the many signs that He is here, today, with us. May God bless us all.